Let me tell you a story about the most important part of my hometown, about port. So, first written document about the port dates from 13th century. Of course, in 13th century it was just a small port, and it was located right here on the mouth of the river Rijeka. Of course, back then there was no bridge, and the port was for, export of leather and wood and wool, and also for import of salt and vegetables, olive oil and grain. And then in 19th century, of course, this port became too small. So a new port was built in front of the city. But because of the Venice, who declared itself a ruler of Adriatic Sea, this port couldn't develop much. So it was a port for smaller ships under the Habsburg monarchy flag. And later, the Hungarian authorities under the Austro-Hungarian monarchy recognized the potential of this port, so they decided to build a railway from Hungary to Rijeka. They desperately needed an access to the sea so they could sell their grain around the world. And this port became also a main port for immigrants to the New World, to America. There was also a hotel near this port, Hotel Immigrant, for those passengers. And also the British company Conrad Line transport with their ships passengers from Rijeka to New York 2 times a month. And what I found especially interesting is that, the ship Carpathia had this port as the main port, and as we all know, Carpathia was the first ship who helped passengers from Titanic. In time from 1909 until 1913, this complex of 5 huge warehouses were built, and the port reached its peak at the time. But after the World War I, Rijeka became a part of Italy, and the city and the port lost their importance because transport moved to Trieste, also a big port in Italy. At the time, the city of Rijeka was also divided in 2 parts. One part, up to the river Rijeka, belongs to Italy, and the other side of the river, the part called Sušak, belongs to the so-called Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenians. The main part of infrastructure, together with the main railway and other necessary infrastructures, belonged to the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenians. So the potential of the port, so-called Porto Baroš, started to grow, becoming the main port. At the end of the World War II, the British and American aircrafts bombed the port of Rijeka because of the German ships and army, but they also destroyed the parts of our port. After the World War II, Rijeka was reunited in one city and the port was rebuilt. So today we have a new container terminal east from here, and authorities also have many plans for this port. So we'll see what the time brings. The town of Rijeka, due to its favorable geographic position and good connections with continental and overseas countries, was always interesting for Austro-Hungarian monarchy. And the initiative for the construction of refinery in Rijeka came in year 1882 from the Shell Oil Company from Budapest. At the end of the 19th century, the capacity of this refinery plant amounted to 30,000 tons per year. So during the First World War, production decreased by 2/3. And then in 1938, the refinery became one of the most modern complexes for the production of gasoline, petroleum products, especially oils. And the refinery is not in function since 2013. It says here, in year 1873, here played the first soccer game between Hungarian and British workers. Very interesting, isn't it? And this part of my hometown, with this beautiful park, it's called Mlaka, or on English, something like a plash. There is a, as you can see, stream, so it's a drinking water, but not only because of the water here, but also because when it rains, the streets are full with water and the water remains for some time. So Mlaka, remember it. And you can find here many different kind of trees, like these two old chestnuts or this huge red pine or spruce, and many others that I even don't know the names. Oh, sorry. And back to childhood.